Tonight, the media is in full celebration mode, screaming and chanting how Trump bowed to Governor Tim Walz and that Walz is suddenly a brilliant statesman. But Alex Jones says it's completely backwards, and his DC sources explain why this is actually a pressure campaign designed to squeeze Walz, rip the criminals out of Minnesota, and keep the fraud investigation alive, instead of allowing it to be buried by mob violence and ICE hysteria. In this video, I'm going to show you what everyone missed about Trump's so-called backfire in Minnesota. I'll also tell you about Trump's promise to barnstorm the country and win the 2020 election, his quiet plan for those who attacked ICE, and how different members of Congress are now stepping up to fight back the DC swamp. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. I'm competing against CNN, ABC News, MSNBC to try to bring you guys the truth. Let's go ahead and jump right in. President Trump earlier today started his promise to campaign the country, hold massive rallies that will end in a large nationwide RNC event. He started off saying he's going to try to do what no other president has done, and that is to win another election. Listen to this.
I'm going around because hopefully we win the midterms. And it's very scary because like it's 2 out of 50 years or something like that. Right. For some reason, when a president wins, Republican or Democrat, even if they're a good president, and hopefully I'm a great president, based on the first year I'm a great president. And we had a great first term too. People don't know, we rebuilt our military. We had phenomenal financial numbers, but I think this term is blowing away really every term. But traditionally, when a president gets elected, out of I think 50 years, they've had 2. That one, I don't understand it.
You're gonna be the next.
They've had 2, so we have to, and one was by unusual circumstance. So there's something psychological. If you win the president, whether you're Republican or Democrat, with that being said, the polls look very good. Everything looks very good. And you have great congressmen here, congressmen and women here. And we love Iowa. We love Iowa. And I think didn't I just give the farmers $12 billion, right?
So President Trump is going to attempt to do what only happens a couple of times every 50 years, and that's to win the election again. He's going to have to drag some of these GOP men and women across the finish line. He's given them great talking points in order to get out there and campaign. Now, this is amazing. This man never stops working, and he's going to kick it into overdrive on domestic issues, affordability. He's meeting personally with Americans all over the country, asking them, what can I and the GOP do to make America great again? Your life easier, better, safer, more affordable. This is a man of the people who wants to hear from the people. Now, if you missed my viral video from earlier today, I told you how Tom Homan and President Trump are getting what they came for in Minnesota. And then they are going to pull out, arrest a bunch of people that attacked ICE agents, and move on to the next town, while leaving Governor Walz and other Democrats to swim for their life when it comes to the fraud investigations that are descending on Minnesota. Now, I'll leave a link at the end of this video so that you can go see that. But listen to what Congressman Brandon Gills said. He basically summed up what's really going on.
We're not going to allow left-wing rioters and agitators to stop the president from carrying out the lawful agenda that he was elected to do. But I think that if you back up here, you can see that what the left is doing is they're recognizing that immigration enforcement to them is a politically existential problem. They've spent years importing as many illegal aliens as they possibly could into the United States. They wanted those illegal aliens to impact congressional apportionment, to give blue states more congressmen than red states. They wanted to provide a path to citizenship, amnesty for these illegal aliens, to eventually allow them to vote, or to allow them to come into the United States, get on the dole, and vote illegally. That's been part of their political playbook, and we're not going to tolerate We're not going to tolerate illegal immigration anymore. We're going to enforce our law.
We're not going to allow illegals to dictate what happens in America anymore. We're not going to allow the cheating tactics of the Democrat Party to determine the destiny of America, how many House seats we win or lose. It is up to us. We know that they've been rigging elections. We know that they've been rigging census, and we're not going to allow these crazy mobs to scare us into doing what is right, which is giving the American people exactly what they voted for. Now, many are saying that President Trump is weak, that President Trump bowed down to the most corrupt governor in America next to Gavin Newsom. Well, Alex Jones points out what everyone missed about Trump's move in Minnesota. This probably has something to do with some of the sources that he was able to speak with up in Washington, D.C. I still believe President Trump is fighting for the American people. I do not believe he woke up yesterday and said, you know what? After all the hell that I've been through to win 3 elections, I'm just going to roll over and allow Tim Walz to do whatever he wants. Alex Jones shares from his sources in Washington, D.C., what's really going on. This is 100% a pressure campaign on Tim Walz to keep his promise to hand over the illegal criminals and to ensure that the fraud investigations that must go on are not buried by the mob or the mainstream media when it comes to these lies about ICE. Listen to what what Alex Jones points out right now.
Okay, first off, Trump is not retreating. ICE is not retreating in Minnesota. They are moving to a military base and they are recalibrating. And I've been saying for a week, this needs to happen. You cannot send small numbers of federal agents out into these rat's nests where they're being viciously attacked and shot at and everything else. And then when the leftist goons that are basically out there sacrificing themselves, the equivalent of suicide bombers, death by cop, it will be spun against the administration. So Trump is not in retreat. The administration has listened to me and listened to others. And the word I'm getting is they're removing the Border Patrol head, letting him retire because he was too optimistic and thought they could handle this and do all this. But I still think they're blaming him, and that's wrong. Anybody can look at what's going on there and see you can't send 4 agents out to a neighborhood of people that are about to attack them to arrest some child molester. You've got to have the forces to be able to control the situation. And I understand they're working with what they've got. They've got a constitutional duty. That's why I've called them heroes, because they're David versus Goliath. I mean, just like you, I watch these clips all day, and I see people completely outnumbered, being screamed at, attacked, shot at, bottles bouncing off their heads, everything else. And then I just see a media totally doxing them, demonizing them. I see the Democrat Party with license plate reading systems jacked into the police departments, literally stalking them. I mean, this is a hellish job. And it's a constitutional job. And remember, the Democrats loved killing 4 citizens on Jan 6. They love arresting thousands of people. They loved training the police and military under Obama and Clinton to confiscate our guns and have a war with us and blowing up Waco. That's the police state. Federal agents with court orders and warrants going out and arresting people with criminal records with cities that won't work with them. Those people are doing their job. And so a lot of folks try to conflate the two and act like I suddenly love the police state. The police state is a government ignoring the laws and bringing in 20+ million illegal aliens, over 1 million kids, 500,000 that are still missing, sex, slavery, you name it, and signing them up for welfare and then siphoning the money off the Democratic Party. That's the lawlessness. They created this crisis that threatens the very existence of this republic. This is a war. And you've had 2 leftists run out in the middle of these melees in very dangerous situations asking for it. I'm not happy they're dead, because that gives the enemy martyrs. Plus, I'm not happy they're dead regardless. I'm not like the left. But we've got the breakdown on that today, so many clips of prominent leftists calling for violence, talk show hosts calling for violence, and then people publicly saying, yeah, I'm a nurse, I work here, and if any ICE comes in here, I'm gonna sabotage their medical treatment and I'm gonna kill them. And then you look them up and they're the nurse there. I mean, this is how crazy they are and also how stupid, which makes them powerful because they're so dumb. That's a form of power, that they're so mindless. They're like a suicide bomber. They're automatons. You're a nurse saying you're going to poison people when they come into your hospital. And these people say their real names and say, and I want you to join me in you know, they're not just spitting on your hamburger when you buy a hamburger. They're not just, I mean, it turned out that they're not feeding police dogs when they put them in private kennels in ICE operations. They kennel their dogs and they go, ICE out. And then another employee says, yeah, I've been told not to feed these canines. And then another employee gets upset about it and gives ICE the information. So the good news is we've got good people out there, but imagine you're going to abuse a dog. There's new footage of just people on travel buses, private charter buses that are all over the country, and the left looks in the windows, and if they see any white people, they start beating on the windows, thinking it's ICE and trying to attack them. They're completely psychotic. I mean, if I was going to kill people, which I wouldn't do, I sure as hell wouldn't be talking about how I was going to do it. I'd go do it. But these people want to get somebody else to do it.
Gold and silver have been one of the best performing assets in the last 18 months. I've been urging my viewers to investigate this as a way to protect and grow your money. I love President Trump, and daily I tell you about what he's doing to make America great again. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I have a decent portion of my own money in gold and silver. Why? Because Congress continues to print money with disregard for the American people, disregard for the fact that it waters down our buying power. The truth is they're printing us into a major problem. Well, you can't print gold and silver, and I consider it honest money. With everything happening in the economy, a lot of people are looking for ways to protect the money that they've worked so hard to get. And when it comes to physical gold and silver, choosing the right company matters. Monetary Gold has been in business for 26 years. They've survived multiple market crashes, have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and built a reputation for listening to their people and doing right by their customers. They don't push the gimmick coins or the special edition. You just go right for the gold and silver so that you can protect your wealth. Now, if you're thinking about physical gold or silver or using an IRA, they are the best. So call Monetary Gold at 800-608-1770. That's 800-608-1770, or go to StephenLovesGold.com. Ask your questions, get real answers. You'll feel the difference immediately. All right, he's exactly right. So they're getting their base all rallied up, telling them that what ICE is doing is illegal, that they're disappearing Americans. And then Greg Bovino, who I think is a hero and deserves to retire and receive a medal, he was outnumbered. He was literally outnumbered. The mob in Minnesota outnumbered him. And so now what they're doing is they're actually going to lessen the number of agents, but then they're going to move them back to a military base. And they're going to keep the pressure on Tim Walz to do the right thing and then also to go through these fraud investigations. If we don't stop the fraud, what is the point of all of this? What is the point of paying taxes to the government of the United States of America? I don't love paying taxes, but I pay my taxes and I love my country. But then if it turns out that you're just giving my money to illegals, to criminals, to people that do awful stuff to children, you're going to see a real revolution. Something like we haven't seen since 1776, when the king tried to rule over us through taxation. Now, I just want you guys to know that I still believe there are a lot of really good, God-fearing, hardworking, America-loving members of Congress. And one of my favorites is Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee. Almost makes me want to move from Utah to Tennessee. Well, he's now going to be heading up DOGE, and he's promised that we are going to get these fraud investigations. He's going to make sure that they're happening out in the states, but he's also going to make sure that they're happening in Washington, D.C., because what we're finding is Ilhan Omar and others, people in California, they are earmarking millions, billions of dollars out. They're allocating hundreds of billions of dollars to programs where they know they're ghost businesses, where they know they're fake businesses, where they know with certainty that there is fraud, but they still do it like they can't stop themselves. Why? Because they want the votes. And there's Republicans that do this too. I'm not blind to the fact that there are wicked, evil Republicans, but it's mostly Democrats when you dig in. 90% of the USAID fraud was Democrats and Democrat family members. But listen to what Congressman Tim Burchett shared with Benny Johnson.
Can you give us just an outlook for where you're going to go with DOGE? Can you give us can you reveal on the show, maybe break some news? Like, what have you uncovered? What will you be investigating? You're sort of like in the belly of the beast here.
Yeah. But I always have to remind people that as the subcommittee, it's been, the press and people that have touted it is separate from what Elon Musk did. He was part of a DOGE investigation, the DOGE department, if you will. I am a subcommittee of the full committee. And so I don't have the power that people think I do. All I can do is expose it. But as a congressman and that's what they fear the most.
They fear the microphone and they fear exposing it. You have millions of followers, right?
And that's what I'm fixing to do. And I will tell you this, I'll promise you this, Benny. If one of our chairmen jerks me around, I will embarrass them publicly because I don't care anymore. I will call them out by name. I will be outside their office and I will video it. I'm dealing with a situation right now with the chairman. And if I don't get some satisfaction out of that, if he does not move the legislation that I've brought to them, they've already started that. The staff member said, well, it's sort of there, but I said, I want it in the law because the next president can come and erase it or ignore it because some bureaucrat. And I'm going to bring that to you as soon as I get that. And that will be the first domino to fall. And I will expose it all to you. And then we'll see what happens, because I think we're going to start turning some stones over. We'll make a lot of people uncomfortable. When you start talking about $1 trillion in duplication and waste, yeah, that's where the corruption lies, because nobody's paying attention. You have unelected bureaucrats doing what we as elected officials don't have the guts and the wherewithal to do. And that's very unfortunate. And I'm frustrated like you, but I'm just going to raise hell about it because I figured out I'm not going through our conference anymore. I'm going to go straight to the public because that's what the social media is about. Yes. That's the one thing they can't control yet. And yet we bow and scrape to these folks. And I was in the meeting the other day and I said, y'all are going to throw your shoulders out by patting yourselves on the back for all the garbage that we loaded up these bills with. We're better than the Democrats, but not by a whole lot. Not by a whole lot. If you saw some of the gutless funding that's in some of these bills, the transgender stuff that's still in there, the other stuff that we allowed to be in there for no other reason than we don't have the guts to call it out. And we're tired of fighting. And if you're tired of fighting, you need to get your ass home and sit on the couch and let somebody else do it.
All right. Oh, I love that guy. I don't know if you guys heard me laughing in the background, but I love it. If these committees won't do something, then I will go to the journalists. I will go to the podcasters. I will go to the independent people, and I will expose you through the media. This is the Nick Shirley effect, right? He's welcome to break any news he wants on the Stephen Gardner Show. All right, so much good stuff is happening. Do not get discouraged. We are winning. I know there's a lot of battles, but we're going for the war, right? All right. If you guys found value in this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.